Congratulations on the job, Michael. You've also had to make some big decisions in your career in terms of moving to Rangers, leaving Rangers. How big a call was this in terms of going into management on your own for the first time?
Obviously, it's a big call. I think, obviously, being up there, Chris, you'd know that there's been other opportunities before, and I've always sort of stayed with the same management team and stayed loyal to that. I just felt this was the right time after the huge experience I had up in Scotland and coming back to the Midlands. I feel like I'm over ready. I feel like I was overcooked a little bit as an assistant. So now's the time before me and Stephen fall out, before I overstep my job. It was time to start on my own.
People have spoken about you as a potential Rangers manager for some time. Perhaps not Queen's Park Rangers, though.
No, I think I think that Glasgow Rangers is a absolutely huge football club. I love my time there, and it was fantastic, especially the last 12 to 18 months as well. But this was a fantastic opportunity for me. I'm back home. It's the first time I've been home in 10 years, back to London. It's a club that's got a really young, vibrant squad. One or two of the players remind me of one or two that I worked with previously. So, and I'm sure you can surmise who they are, because the teams have got similar type players to what we had up in Glasgow and at Aston Villa as well in terms of the number 10 positions. And I'm really looking forward to getting working.
You mentioned Stephen there. What was the reaction from him, and what's been the message from him as well?
The reaction was fantastic. We've always communicated honestly the whole time we was together. His advice towards me was fantastic. It will stay between us, obviously, but Stephen's like my football brother. There's hard for me to have more respect for someone than what I have for him, in terms of the way that our working relationship was. It's always been my plan to step out on my own. Neither of us knew when that was, and I think he's replaced me very, very well with Neil Critchley, and I've come to a club that I'm hugely excited to be at. So all's well so far.
Just finally from me, Michael, what have the experiences that you've had up at Rangers and working with Stephen over the last 4 seasons, how have they prepared you for this move and this chance that you've now got?
Well, I think expectation, people talk about pressure, but I talk about expectation. There is, that's what it is. It's the expectation that people have in you to do well, or the expectation of the club. So I see pressure as a privilege. I've missed the intensity. I've wanted to step out on my own to feel that intensity myself and that pressure and that demand to be a headline number one. And now I have that opportunity. I turned down many chances before because I felt that where I was at and the people I was with was right. This felt right from the beginning. And I think we're moving to a new training facility, which is absolutely fantastic here. And it's only going to get better every single day. And the two sites coming together, the team had to look a certain way, and this team does in terms of the players inside. I feel like I can work with, but also the staff currently in place. We've got some staff at this club now around the first team and the head of the academy that have been at all the big clubs in London and in England. So to bring all that into one room, I'm excited because I do think them conversations find their way on the pitch.
A lot of fans were gutted to see you guys leave. Some maybe expressed it a bit more eloquently than others, but and in a way, was that probably the biggest backhanded compliment they could pay you guys? The fact that they were so sad to see you go.
Yeah, I think so. I think that we'd lived an amazing experience together in 2020, 2021 to play 56 games and lose 2. We lost the 3rd on penalties, didn't we? I was hugely frustrated after that. I know people were running around and singing and dancing in the streets, but I was like a bear of a sore head because I felt we should have won more. And we obviously brought that into this season with us. And I think that was a fantastic experience that any of us had. We saw the outpouring of the fans when we saw them once COVID was over, just being in the city. As I say, I moved the family up there and I lived for 3.5 years in Balfron. So I was in a nice part of the world, living out in Loch Lomond area. And I really enjoyed the time there. So it was really difficult to move on because you're leaving an institution, a big club. I've left big clubs before, obviously Chelsea, Liverpool, Sao Paulo. I seem to run away from everywhere after 2 or 3 years. So I'm only just continuing what I've always done.
I mean, you talked about Liverpool, Chelsea and Brazil there. I mean, proper football hotbeds. How did Glasgow compare with those? And what was the kind of biggest lesson you learned, whether it was on or off the pitch, during your 3.5 years up there?
It was as big as any of them. You only got to look at the fans that come every week, the 48,000 season ticket holders, the fans that are on the waiting list, the fans around the world when we travel. It's as big as any club that I've worked for. I think it means a real lot to the people. I think it's a fantastic football city, a little bit crazy at times, a little bit intense. I think sometimes the glass is half empty rather than half full. I think we tend to bash ourselves on the head rather than celebrate the good things that are happening. I think for the last 3 or 4 years, you've had 2 very, very good teams in the country that have gone and done good things in the league, but developed players and gone and done fantastic in Europe. I don't think that's promoted enough at times, but that's the way of Glasgow. I loved it because I love the intensity and pressure. I think pressure is a privilege in this game. If you're not under pressure and there's not an expectation in you or the club that you're working for, then you're probably at the wrong level. So I'll always sort of love that pressure that we had to even win well. A draw was a defeat, and a narrow win was never ever celebrated. So I'll always have that standard inside me. It's been drilled in me since the age of 22 when I started at Chelsea, to be fair. I have been around, clubs where the expectation is to do well. So I thoroughly enjoyed my time in Scotland. And 1 or 2 moments where I got hot-headed was just me turning into one of you guys. Do you know what I mean? And forgetting that I'm from Kent and a little bit more chilled out.
But finally, can I just ask, you clearly loved your time up here and you embrace it, and without getting too ahead of yourself as you get into your first job in management, but is there any ambitions that you harbour maybe to come back to Rangers at some time in the future? Is that something that would appeal?
Look, no one turns down a team the size of Glasgow Rangers. As it stands right now, I was a good assistant at Rangers. Rangers now, where they are, they can go and secure any manager they want within reason. I think it's a fantastic club. I'm just a novice manager. I have to do well in my job here for QPR. If I do well, who knows? I moved to Brazil. I never thought that was possible. I moved to Liverpool. I never thought that was possible. Do I have a lot of friends at Glasgow Rangers, and am I friendly with the board and everyone around the club still? Yes, my links are strong. But I think that when Gio eventually decides to move on or something happens there, they will have a host of people after him, because that's where the club is today. He's just playing the Europa League final. I think they'll be looking at much bigger fish than Mick Beale.
Thanks, Michael.
Josh.
Hi, Michael. Congratulations from me as well on the gig. You obviously had a very kind of clearly defined system at Rangers. You're speaking there about your number 10s. When you're going into this job, are you going in with a style of play that you want to adopt, or is it about moulding your ideas to the playing staff that you have, obviously with recruitment as well?
Well, I've got some loose ideas. Obviously, the principles of how I want to play won't change. I think you guys are well versed in that. Certainly out of possession and the width coming from the fullbacks in possession, whether that's with a back 4 or back 3, it will depend on the qualities of the players here. Last season, Mark Warburton worked very well with a back 3, and I feel that we have the capabilities to do that already. So that's something I'm inheriting, and then I'll add my own bits to it. I think it's important I keep the fluidness in the final third, and I think it's important that I put thoroughly my own stamp on a team. I had a big push on Stephen's ideas, of course, and Gary's when we worked together. But now this is Michael Beale team, and it's important that you see the slight differences in that again. And I think you have to get the best out of the players you've got. And I think here we have in Chris Willock and Ilias Chair, we have 2 fantastic number 10s. So probably won't veer away from playing with 10s, but maybe play with 3 and not 2.
And obviously it's well known that you had a lot of responsibility under Stephen, as much as now it will be different being your own gig. But the fact that you had so much training responsibility, you're obviously held in such a high regard by Stephen. Do you think that makes the move into becoming your own manager slightly smoother because you've inherited a lot of responsibility in the past?
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm over ready. I think if it wasn't working with someone of the stature of Stephen and the relationship I had with him, I would have been a manager probably before coming to Rangers. I took the choice to work with Stephen. In the time I was at Rangers, I had 5 or 6 opportunities to move on, 1 or 2 in Scotland and back home and around Europe. And I always rebuffed them because I was part of the plan there and the project there, and I didn't think it was finished. This is slightly different. We was at the start of a new journey, and I just felt that this opportunity here at QPR was too good for me to turn down. I'm hugely excited by being here. And I think you have to get out of the bed every morning really excited about going to work. And I think that's the key thing for me, to put that energy in and be all in and relentless. I have to feel that excitement, and I feel that when this opportunity came my way.
And just finally from me, something that we heard a lot during your guys' time up north was the importance of a management team, and you all obviously had your roles. What's that taught you about now you going to build your own team and how you delegate and make sure that you have a kind of collective effort around you to do a good job for QPR?
Well, yeah, because I picked the team now. So when players were happy to talk to me before because Stephen left them out, maybe that's not going to be my role slightly now. Maybe they're going to be disappointed in me. So I'm used to. I'm happy to be back managing. It's been 6 years since I stopped coaching Liverpool's under-23s. I've been a loyal assistant in Brazil, and then with Rogério Ceni, and now with Stephen, two icons of the game. But it was important I got back to me and my pathway and my development and the things that I want to achieve. And that meant being at the front and leading the team. I've got really good experience here in the management team around me. The people that I've brought in with me and have selected to be around me are all older than me. So I've gone with some old heads with more grey hair that can temper my energy down sometimes. But I'm still going to be at the front on the pitch because that's what I love, Joshua.
Hi, Michael. Yeah, congratulations again, and also thanks for taking the time to speak to us on this this afternoon. I'm just going to ask you. You were often described as being the kind of brains of the operation at Rangers and at Villa. Was that a thing you could have a joke with the other guys about, or did you just think it was a bit disrespectful?
No, I think it was disrespectful to the work that we all did. I think. If you're the one seen to be doing the coaching on the pitch, people can get, but there's lots of ways to coach football players. The 11 o'clock training on the pitch is a guarantee. That happens every day. But there's different types of coaches. There's the motivation, there's the leader type, there's the manager type, there's a tactician, a technical coach. And we had a really well-balanced management team. Stephen was extremely smart in the way he put his team together. It's probably a lesson for other ex-professionals going into the job that need to round themselves off. I think Stephen, he was very, very smart in that, and it never came up in conversation. You'd be surprised because we don't take that much notice of you guys,
We noticed, yeah.